So, Chris, your trip to Virginia, how was that experience?
How was that?
What'd you go for, first off?
Yeah. So I have a. First of all, let's give a little bit of a backstory so it makes sense.
Backstory time.
Because then everybody would. I mean, maybe not everybody, but kind of.
Well, we gotta at least tell the audience like how you got there.
Yeah. So like I went to Virginia for work. Had an opportunity to move up there, so I did. And long story short, I got my first house. It was a townhome, and lived in it for a while I was up there. This guy.
Was it irritating you?
Hey, right. I lived in it for a while, and then my goal was always to make it my rental property. So I bought it in a good area that had good schools, and I took all that stuff into consideration. So when it
had good schools,
good school zones.
Oh, okay.
Like you got to think about that because when families move in, they want to be able to put their kid in like the good.
All
stuff.
sex offenders are there. You know?
Yeah, that's good.
Right. So good area, sought after area within the town I was in.
Great lake in the back.
Great lake in the back.
Yeah. Really nice great lake.
Yeah, it's a good little spot, man, for like a starter home. And then the goal was to always rent it out. So eventually down the line, I was able to do so, and then I moved back to Florida. So my tenants actually just moved out on the 31st. So I just wanted to go up there and walk with my property manager and make sure that all of our expectations were met. Like he knew my expectations. I walked with him, made sure that, that everything was kosher and he wasn't just going to let things slide and not get fixed and stuff like that. Cause I don't want to take anybody's deposit, but if I need to fix something, I don't want them to just take off without, utilizing that money.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
how was it like, I guess, having a property manager out of state? Because we have property managers here in Florida for our properties.
Yeah.
But how is it like out of state knowing that you can't physically go over there? You have to be on the
Yeah,
telephone.
no, like it's one of those things you kind of have to just, it sucks because I'm pretty handy. I can do a lot of things around the house.
You good with your hands?
He's good with his hands.
These guys. So,
I have a lot of practice. Got a lot of practice working.
Oh, he's got a ton of practice.
okay. So,
Single, by the way.
So anyways, pretty handy. So I'm able to fix a lot of stuff. So it sucks having to pay people to fix shit that you could fix on your own. But being that you're so far away, you do need a property manager. They do take, I'm sure they're all different, but mine takes 10% of the rent.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, but it sucks because you can do what they're doing. You know what I mean? But it does make it very easy. For me, they just call me if there's anything that happens. They just call me and basically have somebody on call of whatever the problem is, and they just get my okay, and then they go and fix it. So it's pretty much hands off for me. I just take their calls, give the the yay or nay, and that's it. But it is kind of mind boggling, that it is all the way up there, and you can't go and see it whenever you want. You know what I mean? And like. Basically, when I went up there, I was pretty nervous because it was the first time I've seen it in like a year and a half.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh gosh. And they had a dog. And that was my first set of tenants, and they had a dog. So I was like really nervous about like the carpet and like.
Did you take a pet deposit?
Yeah. Well, yes, I took a pet deposit, and then they actually pay every month a small amount because they have a pet.
Because they have a pet.
Yeah. So.
That's kind of like what we do.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But like, how was? Well, what was it? My bad. Hitting buttons here. So like that experience, like, would you recommend like having a rental property out of state? Because I've heard of like people on TikTok saying I got like 200 properties across the country and whatnot.
It sounds like a nightmare, but at the same time could be nice.
Well, 10% cut though, is that really something that's okay thing compared to like 25%?
25% seems excessive.
Yeah, like that is very extreme. But I think it's all based on like so you got to think about it, okay? Like how much is your mortgage? Do the numbers make sense? If you're renting out for X amount of dollars and you get a property manager and they're taking X amount of the percentage, like, is it worth it? Is it worth having the property manager? You know what I mean? In some cases, in my case, I have to have one. So maybe shopping around would help out a little bit with that percentage. But I mean, you got to do it. So I guess, yeah.
Yeah, it is taking a big risk having that out of state, but also like not. I guess you gotta choose the right property manager as well.
No, yeah, you got to have a good property manager.
Someone's gonna actually
good communication and all that.
Yeah,
I mean,
keep up.
if I had to say so, like I wouldn't. If you have a choice, obviously, if you could, buy a house that's in the same state or even like near you, obviously you want to do that before you would just go buy a house in another state. But then I also think deals present themselves, and you kind of have to like hop on those deals that present themselves. Like,
Absolutely.
there's a lot of things in Orlando or just Florida in general. Florida is a very sought after place to live, so everything's very expensive in Florida. So it's hard to buy houses, especially when you're first starting out and you don't have, like, I started from nothing. Like nobody gave me any money or anything like that. So it's tough for me to try to buy something when there's all these other investors that maybe are just, got lucky and are very successful or, got a lot of money handed to them.
Or bought it before.
And they can buy whatever they want. It doesn't matter. And they're paying over sticker price or whatever.
I've seen that a lot lately.
Yeah.
That's what's screwing me over with the home
Right.
buying, because when I go to look for a home and it has an asking price, somebody blows me out the water. Like
They blow you out the water how much they're willing to pay for it, and they pay cash.
Yeah, that's
sometimes they're not even in the state and they'll buy it.
Yeah.
correct. Yeah, I've seen that
They're
a
on
few
a whole other
times.
level, though, dude.
Like,
Or they're-
conspiracy theory of like BlackRock's what they're saying that are buying it, which
Yeah.
could be plausible, but
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
You got people going in there asking, or throwing out 30-40% more than.
Yeah,
what
you
they're
got to think about it,
asking.
man. If you have a lot of money and you don't, like,
Care.
the house could be like torn all the way down, but if you have the money to fix it up and rent it out, I'm assuming that's their thought process. Like, they don't care because they just have all these other properties making them buku money.
I mean, it's either that or they're wanting the property more than the house.
they want the property, probably just resell it or just flip it, do a quick flip or
Right.
something like that.
Yeah.
A
But
demo and flatten it
Most of
out.
them have so much money they don't care what they lose on it. They're gonna either break even or just
Yeah.
have somewhat of a profit for
Yeah,
it.
they're gonna make money either way they look at it. Either way, what they do with it,
I'm just not there. I don't have that luxury of being able to willy nilly
Not a lot
just
of
buy
people are.
stuff.
Nobody has a luxury.
No, man.
So I mean, if I even thought about selling it and actually trying to get another property here in Florida, but the problem is I bought that house pre-pandemic, so I got a really good deal on it. And it just, those deals that I got on it then, that doesn't exist anymore.
Hell
No.
no.
No, I mean not only that, but just the percentage of the house, the interest rate of the, houses
interest rates,
now
yeah.
is just wild, and they're just getting worse.
Yeah. Well, that's what makes it so expensive, right? Like you could, back in the day, you could get a $400,000 house that bought you more house to begin with, but then the interest rate is so low you could afford it. Now you got a $400,000 house that's like
7%.
at 7%. That is a Matchbox.
But not only
No,
the interest rate is bad, but also you're putting on top of insurance for it, which is
Yeah, it's
wazoo.
depending what type of loan you go
Yeah.
through. Like,
Also, your property taxes too.
Property taxes.
Yeah.
Property taxes screw you
People
every time,
don't
man.
don't think
realize-
about that, right?
I looked at so many houses, and I actually, I got my offer accepted on a house actually, and then maybe I did it a little backwards, but I started digging a little bit deeper into why the mortgage was so expensive, and it was because of the property taxes. Like,
Yeah.
it was absurd how much the property tax, and like you're not that's not paying down your principal. Like, that's not
No,
paying down your mortgage.
no, man. That's just the taxes that go straight to the state.
Yeah, so I was like, no. So there's a lot of houses I turned down because of that, actually.
Yeah.
Appreciate everyone who stayed for the whole video. Be sure to leave a like, comment if you have any suggestions or input for the podcast, or if you want something for us to talk about. Be sure to leave a comment in the comments below. Hope you guys have a good day.